So what I'm beginning to learn about myself is that I'm the type of person who, when faced with even the slightest of inconveniences, I mean, my day is just farted out into the stratosphere. Today's obstacle is the dentist. But that is later, and this is now. So let's talk about my favorite books of 2023. If you watch my worst books of the year 2023 edition, you will know that we are not going to be doing like a top 10. I don't have a list, baby girl. We're going to be going through every single book that I read in each month and picking a best and a worst. We've already picked the worst. If you want to know the worst, you can go watch that video. I'll link it for you. I mean, I will literally do all the work for you. All you got to do is click on it, okay, baby girl? Because I did the worst books of 2023, before I did this one, I'm not going to like say all of the books that I read in each month, but I will have a picture, like right here. I'll have like a cheeky little picture for you to look at. January. These are the books that I read in January. I think that my best book for January is gonna have to be Flawless by Elsie Silver. It's not one that I absolutely loved, but I would 100% recommend it. It's a small town romance, cowboy romance. It was a lot of fun for me. I did enjoy it. So I'm gonna pick Flawless for my month one, January. What is month one? I don't know. February. These are the books that I read in February? No. I didn't read that much in January and February. I don't know. I never know. This is not a right-handed mug. It looks like I'm making out with the gnome every time I take a sip. Okay. For February, I think I'm gonna have to go with Children of Fallen Gods by Carissa Broadbent. This is a really fun fantasy romance series that I really enjoyed. I'm looking forward to reading her other series, The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I don't know if it has a duology name, but it's a duology, and the first one's The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I'm looking forward to reading that in 2024. These are the books that I read in March. Let's see. Let us see. Oh, I do know. I mean, I did read some really good books in the month of March. I read Consider Me that month. I read Mile High that month. I also really liked Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, Mother of Death and Dawn, which is the last book in that trilogy by Carissa Broadbent. It's gonna have to go to Consider Me, okay? I was obsessed with this book after I read it. If you really like dumb, hunky, sweet men, Consider Me is like right there for you. It's right there for you. If you like the cinnamon roll, if you're really into rom-coms and kind of goofy dudes, then Consider Me is your girl. I really like that book. It was a lot of fun for me. Hockey romance. Still haven't continued on with the series because I'm absolute trash. These are the books that I read in, what month are we in? I don't fucking know. April. Okay, April. This is where my reading starts to pick up. I think it has to do with like the warm months. I always think that I get depressed in the warm months, but I tend to read more, so that's probably not true. I'm not very self-aware. That's where we're getting from this. Oh yes, April was the month that I read Legends and Lattes. Legends and Lattes has got to be my favorite. There's no contest. I absolutely loved that book. That book came at the absolute right moment for me, and what do I mean by the right moment? Probably just a random Saturday afternoon, but I fucking loved it. I loved it so much. I've never read a book where so little happens, the stakes are so like low, and yet I am so riveted from the first page to the last page. Have I continued on with that series? Have I read Bookshops and Bone Dust? No, baby girl. Are we getting the picture? I'm not a good series girl, apparently, anymore. I used to binge series, but now I'm like, but like, I should save it for a rainy day, right? It just rained like 2 days ago here, so the rainy day has passed, Joe. Get it together. May was massive, okay? May is massive, and most of these books I liked, but I didn't love. Like, you know, that feeling when you just love a book. Let me go through this with a fine-tooth comb. Oh, this was the month that I finished off the Stay a Spell series by Juliet Cross. That was it's one of my favorite series. Didn't love the book itself, but the ending of that book and of that series, oh, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. I also read Dreaming of You, which I really, really liked. I didn't have any 5 stars this month. I had a couple 4.5s. What is going to be the verdict, Joe? Make a decision. It's gonna have to be between Grim and Barrett by Juliet Cross, Dreaming of You by Lisa Kleypes, or The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare, because this is the month that I read multiple historical romances, which was like one of my goals for 2023 was to read more historical romances. Baby, you read like 3. I think it's gonna have to be Dreaming of You by Lisa Kleypes. I really, really liked that one. I really loved the relationship between the hero and the heroine. The heroine is really quirky. Like, if you like a quirky heroine, this girl is for you. I'm telling you. I feel good with that. Dreaming of You by Lisa Kleypes. May. These are the books. No, that was May. We are now in June. June! These are the books that I read in June. I don't know what I'm talking about. Now see, this is gonna be a little bit difficult because this is the month that I did my Jenn Picks My TBR, Jenn from the Book Refuge. If you don't know about her and you love romance, you should definitely check her out. And she picked me some good ones. But, oh my gosh. Okay, so it's gonna have to be between The Right Move by Liz Tom Ford. I loved that one. Real by Kennedy Ryan, which is one that Jenn picked for me. It's gonna have to be between those two. I was gonna say Fourth Wing, but Fourth Wing and A Hunger Like No Other are in that kind of really addictive category. They're really addictive, good, but really addictive. But The Right Move and Real are like top tier romances. I could literally go with either of them. So if you haven't read either of them and you like romance, you should definitely be reading those. Okay, I'm gonna have to say The Right Move by Liz Tom Ford. That hurts my heart because Kennedy Ryan is a bad bitch. I love Kennedy Ryan. Her romances are so emotional, but The Right Move was emotional. It was funny. It was also just so beautiful and romantic, and I loved it so much. It's also a sports romance, which I've been into this year. You could flip-flop them depending on which day I'm thinking about it. You could literally flip-flop those two as the best ones of June. July. These are the ones that I read in July, and this one is easy. It is Valor by John Gwynne. John Gwynne is one of my favorite authors that I have started reading this year. I was actually going to unhaul Malice. It was in my unhaul pile and I saved it. I sacrificed my life, my heart, my soul. I saved it. I read it. I cried so many times during that series. I love that series so much. John Gwynne is one of those authors that he doesn't really care if you're heartbroken and just absolutely gutted at the end of his books. He will do it to you. He's like the master torturer. August. I finished out the Faithful and the Fallen series this month, and I started the Inheritance cycle. I read some One Piece. What are we feeling? It's gonna have to be another John Gwynne. Ruin is my favorite book in that series. So John Gwynne is like top tier of the books that I've read in the latter half of this year, and Ruin is one of my favorite books that I've read this year. So Ruin by John Gwynne. I was a blubbering mess at the end of that book. I wish I had a picture to show you, but I don't. But it was so good. My friends. I loved it so much. Ruin by John Gwynne. Okay, September. This is when the Red Rising saga took over my life. I have not been the same bitch since. And choosing between those books is like choosing your favorite child. Luckily, I do have a favorite child, and that favorite child is Morningstar. I was literally cussing Pierce Brown out in my bedroom. In the privacy of my bedroom alone, I was cussing out Pierce Brown. But it was so good. I have not had a breakdown like that in a book for a long time. I mean, I cried in The Faithful and the Fallen. I was crying. I was blubbering. Morningstar broke me. It broke something in me and took something away from my soul that I don't think I'll ever get back. So, October. See, I liked all of these. I really liked all of these. I really liked all of these. I finished out the Inheritance cycle. I started The Realm of the Elderlings. I continued on with Red Rising. I read some spoopy books, but it's gonna have to be Misery by Stephen King, which is crazy for me to say because I've tried multiple Stephen King's girly pop. I've tried multiple of his works. It was super boring. I was so bored during it. Carrie was just okay. I tried to read The Shining in like middle school, so I don't know how much that counts. Misery just touched something inside my brain. It scratched an itch that I didn't even know I had. That book is so psychological. If you've watched the movie, you know that Kathy Bates is an absolute and utter national treasure, but the book is so much more intense and disturbing. But I was also just so enthralled by Annie Wilkes and her brain, and that book by itself has cemented the fact that I need to read more by Stephen King. And I thought Stephen King was just like gonna be a loss for me. Okay, second to the last month of 2023. Let's go. These are the books that I read in November. Fantastic. Wonderful. So I actually ranked these books in my November wrap-up. So I already know in my little bird brain which one of these is the best of the month, and that's Vinland Saga Omnibus 5. Oh my gosh, Vinland Saga before this omnibus was good. It was really, really good. There was a lot of battles. There was a lot of seeking vengeance and revenge, and we're following this guy guy who's trying to get revenge on the man who killed his father. I wanted more from this little boy who's trying to get revenge against the man who killed his father. I wanted more. And volume 5 gave me so much more. And I think that if the first 4 omnibuses, omnibi? what's the plural of omnibus? If Makoto Yukimura had not made Thorfinn out to be that kind of tunnel vision character in the first 4 volumes, volume 5 would not have hit me as hard as it did. The breakdown in volume 5, literally, I was crying. I was crying, and I don't cry at manga. I have a lot of fun with manga. I don't cry with manga. The breakdown in this, the absolute and utter emptiness that Thorfinn is feeling as he's trying to redefine himself and figure out who he wants to be for his future. Bitch, let me tell you, the whole damn series is worth it just for that fucking 1 volume. I loved it. But we're gonna predict my favorite book of December, and it's gonna be really easy. Dark Age. It's Dark Age. See, I went through the first like 400 pages of this book super fast. I was like, oh my god, eating it up, eating it up, eating it up. And now I don't want it to end. We've slowed down a little bit. I'm like at the 600 page mark. We've slowed down a little bit because of some of the comments that I've received concerning some things that happened during Dark Age. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I'll probably finish it this week. I don't know if I'm prepared. I don't know if I am mentally and physically and emotionally prepared for the ending of that book. So those are the best books that I read in 2023. Let me know down below what was your best book of the year this year. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to join the NotSoAverageJo army. Your fearless leader is gearing up for a battle against the one known as the dental hygienist. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you, and I will see you, and I will see you next time.